Now, as Ian was explaining, we also have business process evaluations available in this tool. Now, have you run into anything more frustrating? For example, you go to help with a schedule, or you're running reports from a schedule, and I might be running field reports for my scaffolding team. And I run a field report, and all they get as activity names is erect scaffolding 47 times. They're not going to be too impressed. Now, this can be a complete oversight. People may not realize the effect that that is going to have on the actual reports that go to the field. But as you can see, the third column over here, duplicate activity names, is one of the business processes that this tool will evaluate for you. Now, there is another one that generates a lot of problems on a lot of client sites I've seen. There's reports that are run at the corporate level. Now, to run those reports properly, you need specific codes assigned. Now, we can tell on our little example file here, we've got a real problem. We have not passed the evaluation for mandatory codes. So a couple of really quick, really good pieces of information here that tell us, yeah, before we kick this one into execution or carry on any farther, we definitely have some issues to deal with. Now, when we're setting up criteria, you might be wondering, well, how difficult is it to set up my business process criteria? I'm just going to open another layout here and we'll have a look, and you'll see right away it is very easy. Like I said, big fan I am of this tool, and I'm not a big fan of tools that take you 3 hours to set it up every time you want to use it, kind of thing. So if I look at my little sample project here, if I go into the activity ID format, we've got an activity ID format set up here that is, although when you first look at it, you might think, okay, what is that telling me? It's very easy to interpret. I've got one letter, one number, a dash, 3 letters, a dash, and 3 numbers. That's the format that is set up for acceptable activity ID formats. Now, you also have percentages here, so you can set what parameters are you willing to live with. For duplicate activity name, we're saying none of them can be duplicates. In other words, 0% is acceptable. Now, mandatory codes, we've set up a percentage that says 5% is okay. Now, those are customizable. So, as I said, very quickly, very easily, you can go in and set up the parameters of your business process validations. Now, we can also see some criteria as far as the schedule quality goes. So I'm just going to one last project level layout here, so we can have a quick look at what can we do with some of the schedule quality parameters. Well, again, what we've got is logic missing. What percentage are we willing to operate with? Leads, we've got 1%. Lags, we've got 2%. Maybe you're dealing with a project that can't have any of those. You can just go in and reset those all to 0, right in this column, by the way. So setting the parameters in here, I'm not sure it could be easier, is what I'm basically saying. So if we want to run this particular tool, I can run it every hour, like I've told the system to do. Or if I want to rerun it right now, all I have to do is go in and remove the last run date, ask it to refresh. Now, depending on how many files, how many checks it's doing, it might take a minute or two, but it's going to rerun and it's going to give you regenerated the information that's in the notebooks in the bottom. So for example, if I went down and looked at my schedule quality or my DCMA checks, I can see that this is telling me July 18th, 9:52 a.m. Now, it's going to list all my different pieces of information that was just completed in this run. I just simply hit F5 to refresh my screen, but you could see the reports were already generated. So if I wanted to look at any of these reports, I can simply click Modify, and I can just scroll down. I've got the summary at the top, and I've got all the different elements listed with their details. So whichever way you find it easiest to use this information, depending who is your audience, you've got a lot of different ways that you can communicate this information to the different people. So let's go have a look at how do we go in and actually use this to correct some issues. So I'm just going to my Activities tab, and I have a layout here that is showing me a number of different pieces of information. So if I keep scrolling over, you can see I've got a number of different columns showing up. It's very visual as to where exactly my issues are.